Hello, it's Rebecca here from Precious Pages Papercraft, and today I'm designing a layout for Bramble Fox, and I'm using the wonderful Superstars set from the store. So you get 8 star-shaped perspectives, you get 4 open ones in different sizes, and then you get 4 smaller closed stars. I've got them in black, but they do come in 4 different colours, so you can have black, white, pink or turquoise. But I've got black, and I love using black with Cocoa Vanilla Studios Legendary collection. I don't know why, I always think black works really well with it. A real boyish collection with a nice dark black. So I've pulled out some of the papers. My photos are circular today. I've got a thing for circular photos at the moment. It seems like the last few layouts I've made have had circle photos. And I've cut a couple more circles from the pattern papers from the collection, just slightly bigger than each other, so that I can distress the edges and then layer them up like so. And then I've got that lovely blue at the back there. That is one of the Hip Kit exclusive cardstocks from the January kit. I didn't have a lot of the Legendary collection left, so I've had to pull in some Hip Kit as well. So I've made those circles, distressed all the edges and layered them up, and I'm going to have my stars arranged in a diagonal line going through the photo with a little bit of mixed media behind them. But I wanted to back my stars with some patterned paper. I was a bit worried that if I placed them open on top of mixed media, I might get a little bit lost. So using the patterned paper, and then that will sit on top of the mixed media, and those stars should really pop off the page. So just drawing around them, using them as a template, and then cutting that template out slightly smaller than my pen lines so that it fits behind. And I'll stick those down with glossy accents, and you'll see in a minute, even though I've drawn around them, I don't stick them down in exactly the right place, so I do end up needing to trim them down ever so slightly, but it's really simple to do that. So yeah, these make brilliant stencils and templates if you want to have loads of star pattern papers. Use these to draw around before sticking them down on your page, because they're just perfect for that. So there we go, I've skipped through the rest of that process for you, and I'm going to have my stars arranged like so. But I wanted a few more stars, so I'm just testing out one of my stamps. It didn't quite look right on the back, and when I tested it out, it looks like part of it has perished, or I don't know, it's just kind of got cut off or something. So it wasn't giving me a perfect star, so I had to go for a slightly bigger one. And I was trying to arrange them so that they would show underneath my perspectives, but in the end I decided I was being just a little bit too fussy with it, and you'll see at the top here I just kind of think nah, and just go for it and start stamping. But I didn't want many, but I just wanted to pull in a few more stars, and I'm using black StazOn ink for this. It's waterproof, so I can add that on and then add some mixed media on top, and that black ink isn't gonna run or smudge or anything like that. So onto my mixed media then. I'm using 2 Shimmers paints. I've got Till the End of Time, which is this kind of steely colour here, and I've also got Winter's Mist, which is a lighter blue, and I'm using a sponge to apply that mixed media. Now I saw Josephine do this recently, I think it was for a Hip Kit layout, and I absolutely loved the technique and the way it kind of added the ink to the background. So I'm directly painting some of the shimmers onto my sponge. I've wet the sponge before, just sprayed a bit of water on it. I've also dabbed it in some paint now on the packaging, just having a bit of a play, and I love the effect it gives. Almost reminds me of alcohol inks and the way they kind of blend and merge into each other. So I've added those 2 colours to my background, and then I'm going to add some splatters in both colours as well. Again, just adding a bit of that paint to the packaging. Bramble Fox packaging is perfect for mixed media. Things like this and the packaging technique, it's brilliant. So never throw away your Bramble Fox packaging, always keep that plastic. It's really handy to have. But yeah, just adding my ink to that, or my paint to that, adding a bit of water, and then using a paintbrush to splatter. And then I've just rolled a paper towel over it to lift off the excess paint. I could have used a heat gun and the colours probably would have stayed a bit sort of bolder and more solid, but I hate the way that doing that warps the page, so it's quicker and easier to just roll a paper towel over it. Could have added another layer of mixed media if I'd wanted the colour a bit bolder, but I quite like how it looks here. I think it matches the papers and the colours in my photo really well. And you saw there I was just trimming off those excess pattern paper edges from underneath my stars. So this layout actually came together really quickly. I think it took me about 45 minutes in total, so very quick for me. And I'm onto my title already. So I've got these foam thickers in my stash. I've had them for a while and I find them quite intimidating because they're really large, but actually I thought they would be perfect for this layout. They are almost the same thickness as the larger star perspectives, and they're nice and bold just like those stars, so I thought it would work really well. The only downside is I only had one S left and I wanted my title to be Superstar. So for that second S, I've used one of the number 8s and just trimmed a couple of little bits off to match the S at the top. And I only had one R, so it's a capital R in this set, and I only had one of them and I needed 2, and my OCD told me they needed to be the same. So I've actually used 2 J's and I've turned them upside down to make R's. So it almost reminded me of like a really childish font doing that, like one of these like baby handwriting fonts. So I quite like how that's turned out for my boy layout. And I've got those following the circular edge of my photo there. And now I'm getting things stuck in place before I go any further. So the star perspectives that I've backed with patterned papers, I've just simply added a bit of double-sided tape behind those and stuck them down. And then the smaller ones, I'm using glossy accents. And I do have to be careful because where I've added mixed media, I sometimes find that glossy accents doesn't like to stick to it. So I just made sure I gave those long enough to kind of fix and hold before I did anything else with the page. And not content that I had enough stars on my page, I'm going to bring in a couple more. So these are from the Legendary Embellishment Pack, and they've got a white line going through the centre of them, and I wanted a bit of black on them just to help them pop a bit, make them a bit bolder. So I've gone over that with just a black pen, and I've added some little sort of doodled squiggles as well, just to kind of mess them up a bit and make them look a bit more childish. I love doodling, it's quite a fun and therapeutic thing to do. But if I'm doing like a boyish, messy, rustic kind of layout, I always do kind of grungy style doodling, usually on a border or something, but in this case I'm going to do them on the stars. And then those smaller star die cuts, I'm just doing a doodled border around the outside edge of those. And then I'm going to just have the 2 larger ones diagonally through my photo behind my title, just to fill in those spaces there, because it did look a bit bare. And then the smaller ones I'm just arranging in those star clusters I've got going diagonally. And I had these black arrow perspectives left over from the February Fox box. I think they came with the Love You Lots set, or Lots of Love. I think you got red and black arrows, and I didn't use the arrows, so they worked perfectly for this layout, so I've added those 2 on as well. And then just a couple more die cuts from that ephemera pack. The one that says Stay Wild, and I think the other one says First Limited Edition, or One Limited Edition, something like that. It's really small on my screen at the moment, so it's hard to see. It's like a little ticket stub, so I've added those just to kind of fill in some gaps around the circle of my photo. And I'm going to come in with some black splatters here. I'm using watered down black acrylic paint. And it's an old pot now, so it's starting to dry up a bit, so I had to dip my paintbrush all the way down to the bottom to try and get some out. And I wanted some larger splatters as well, so where I've watered the paint down, I kind of saturated the paintbrush and I'm holding it up a bit higher, and then with my fingers just squeezing the bristles down so that you get those big splatters coming down. Giving me black fingers, but never mind, because that inspired me to carry on and do a bit more to my page. I was going to call it done after those splatters. So splatters are usually the last thing I do so that I don't smudge them or anything. But I kind of figured, well, I've got my fingers messy now, I might as well carry on and make a bit more mess. So I decided I want to add a black border to the page. Now usually if I'm going to add a border, I will add 1/4 of an inch around all the edges, but I didn't want anything quite that drastic on this page. Just wanted a subtle black edge, and I felt like a doodled border wasn't going to be sort of bold enough for this. I wanted something bold to match those stars and the title, the foam thickers. So I'm distressing the edges of the page, some areas more than most. And then I'm going to stick that down to the black, and you will just see the very edge of that black cardstock showing through to give me that border. And like I said, I'm a bit messy now, so I might as well carry on getting messy. So I've decided to add some more mixed media to the very outside edge of my layout. So I've pulled out my Stays On ink again, and just a kind of textured stamp. It's almost like a bit like a fishnet kind of stamp. And I've just folded it over to create a curve and just really roughly dabbed it down on the ink pad and then gone around the edge of my layout, sort of concentrating more in the corners, almost like spider's webs. But I just love the sort of grungy look that gives, and I think that works really well with this collection and those bold black acrylic stars and the title. And then once I've done my stamping, I'm just coming in with a couple of Distress Oxides here. So I've got Broken China is the lighter blue, and then Chipped Sapphire is that darker blue. I'm just using blending brushes to get that ink in place. I don't want it to be too perfect. I just want a little bit of colour around that outside edge. Like I said, I'm going for that kind of grungy look now. So nothing too perfect. And then I've got my cardstock stuck in place there over that black cardstock, and you can see just where I'm roughing those edges up a bit with my fingernails, you can just about see the black around the edge there, which is giving me that subtle border that I was looking for. And then that's me finished. So thank you very much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed this layout and the process, and it's inspired you in some way. And do remember, this acrylic perspective set comes in 4 different colours, so head over on the website and check those out. I'll pop a link in the description box below. I'll also pop a link to our monthly Foxbox subscription page where you can sign up to your monthly subscription and you get exclusive designs and the Foxzine magazine as well. And I'll also pop a link to the Bramble Fox Friends, that's a bit of a mouthful, Bramble Fox Friends Facebook group. Head over and join if you're not already a member for loads of inspiration and our monthly challenge. But thanks again for joining me, and I shall see you next time.